Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you the meals I cooked for this week. Some of them are a continuation of last week's meal, so let's go ahead and get started. First, we're going to be using the Spanish rice to be making some burritos. So I'm just making this according to package directions. We're just going to stir this in like it says, and then we're going to cover it up and just let it simmer. We are only going to be using a little bit of meat, so I want to add more protein by adding these black beans. So we're just going to rinse those off and set those aside until later. One thing I like to do with any packaged rice is when it's almost done, 3/4 of the way, I like to add a little dab of butter. It just makes it a little bit more silky and it keeps it from sticking to the bottom, because if you've ever cooked boxed rice dishes like this, they do tend to stick if you have the heat up very high, so that's why I do that. Now we are going to brown up this ground beef, and when this is 3/4 of the way done, I like to add bell pepper and onion. You can add as little or as much as you'd like. I'm adding a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic, and I like this all to cook together because you're getting what little bit of grease is in that ground beef is going to help make those onions and peppers tender, and it's going to help make that garlic very fragrant. So I'm just going to finish cooking this all the way through. So we're almost there, and now I'm going to be adding in those black beans. We're just going to let that continue to cook through and warm all the way. And now I'm going to be adding 1/3 of a cup or 2/3 of a cup of cheese into my rice. I feel like this helps hold it together a little bit, so when you're putting it in your burrito, you don't have rice falling out all over the place. Kind of binds it together, and it's also good. Who hates cheese? I know I don't. So I always add a little bit of shredded cheese to my rice when I make burritos. It just makes it a little bit more manageable. Now that our beef and beans are cooked, I'm going to be adding 1 of these packages of the fajita seasoning, and then I'm going to go in with about a cup of water. And I added a little bit more than I normally do if you're making tacos or anything like that, just because there is so much meat and beans in there. I didn't want the flavor to get lost. We're going to be using that Colby Jack cheese that you saw, as well as these burritos and salsa that I did pick up from the Food Lion grocery haul. So I'm just going to layer a little bit of the rice mixture, and I always try to put it toward the middle, but you make your burritos however you would like, whatever suits your fancy. But I always like to put rice down first and in the middle, and then I just kind of construct everything on top in the middle. I know some people do it off the side. I mean, are there rules? I don't know. But now we're going in with the beef and bean mixture. And at the time I'm actually putting this and editing it together, I had some of that left over and I saved it. And my mom and I actually, and Michaela, had it for lunch one day, and it was so good just by itself. So here we're going in with some green leaf lettuce and then cheese. And then, like I said, I'm going to be topping it with just a little bit more cheese. And then I'm going to go in on top of that with some of the salsa. These were very inexpensive to make. I feel like I made 4 burritos at the time. It's been a while. So 4 or 5 burritos, and then I had enough left over for Michaela, Mom, and I to have lunch. So they were rolled up so cute, and we're ready to cut them in half and see what they look like. So here you go. See how the cheese is kind of holding all of that together with the rice? It's perfection, guys. Such a clean cut. I love it. And one thing I found out, like even picking it up, are we gonna lose any rice? Let's see. We did not. Look at that. I feel like we should all be cheering. So even stacking it, look at that, perfection. You guys, we already made this better than Taco Bell burrito, but look at these cinnamon twists. Run right now to your Sam's Club. They sell these churro twists. They taste better, honestly, than the ones from Taco Bell, and it was like under $4 for this whole bag. So here we had Taco Bell night at home, and it was delicious. Now we're gonna move on to our ham steak and our macaroni and cheese. So first I'm melting this half stick of butter, and then I have some brown sugar, some cinnamon, a little bit of grated nutmeg, and then I have some cane sugar. Here is the cane sugar I use. It's from Walmart, it's organic. So I'm just melting the butter here for a little bit, and once I get half of that butter melted, I'm gonna pour it into these seasonings, and then I'm going to stir it all together and kind of make a paste. So once we get the ham down in the skillet, then we can put it over the top just like a rub. This is not as spicy as those seasoning packets that you can get like in your ham around Thanksgiving and Christmas time. It is not going to be near that spicy. So if you prefer that kind of spice, I would definitely Google what they put in those and use that. But this was really just enough. It had that mapley caramelization taste to it once everything was done. It was just so good. So I highly recommend doing this if you like sweetness of your ham, but just like a little savory undertone. So here I am just spreading that paste along the side of it, and here is what it looks like from the top. I did put like another little bit of butter. Here we're gonna work on the macaroni and cheese. We have another stick of butter melting, and then we have 2 teaspoons of cornstarch. We're just gonna let that get mixed really well, and we just wanna mix it quickly so it doesn't clump up. I prefer this to flour. Let me know with your macaroni and cheese if you use flour or cornstarch. I prefer the cornstarch. So we're gonna go in with about a half teaspoon of onion powder, a half teaspoon of ground mustard, I like to use black and white pepper, so I'm gonna add some salt here, but I use my white pepper when I'm cooking, and then I finish it off on my plate with black pepper because the blend tastes really good. So I'm just gonna incorporate that really well and let it get a little bubbly before we start adding in our milk. So I'm going to be adding 2 cups of milk very gradually. You don't want your cornstarch and butter mixture to break up too much, so you want to kind of mix it as it goes, because if it breaks, you have no sauce. So just gradually add it. If you need to do a quarter of a cup at a time, a half cup at a time, just make sure your heat is up, but you're constantly stirring in between each time that you're adding it. So you can use 2 cups or 3 cups of milk if you would like, but what I like to do is 2 cups of milk and 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. So here we are going in with that 2nd cup of milk. And if you need any further clarification on any of these recipes that we cook, make sure to leave a comment below, and I would be happy to go over those recipes with you. Like I said, I've been cooking for so long now, I just kind of do things on the fly that make sense, and I don't really write things down too much. It's all just from memory. So now we have all of the milk in, and we are going in with the heavy whipping cream. We did use, oh no, that was the rest of the milk. This is the heavy whipping cream. But I did use that lactate milk, and it did perfectly fine. None of us really like milk. So we have this nice and bubbly, you can see it starting to boil there, and I'm going to be using this entire bag of Velveeta shreds. It just saves the time. Just going to whisk it in, but it saves the time instead of cubing up Velveeta cheese. I like this so much better, and it's super quick, and it's just as amazing in your macaroni. So here it is starting to get super creamy, and bam, look at that. It is so good, you guys. I could make this every day. You'll never want Velveeta mac and cheese in a box ever again. This is amazing. I hope you guys will make this. Here is my plate of food. Here is that delicious glaze on that ham. Macaroni and cheese. High five yourself if you make this, because it's delicious. And then cottage cheese. This was a super simple meal one night when I did not feel like cooking, but it was still great. Hey guys, did you see that last video I did sharing what I was cooking? Well, I was too busy, so I thawed out that beef that was left over and I made more beef and noodles. I made more cucumber salad and then just heated up some corn. Now this salad is a recreation of a place from Super Chicks in Fort Mill, and it's basically romaine lettuce. There is mandarin oranges, cashews, shredded carrots, bell peppers, green onions. There's a little bit of grilled chicken over the top and then cheese. And then we're gonna be topping that off with creamy sesame dressing. And this is restaurant quality salad right in your own home for like under 12 bucks for a family of 4. If you don't like sesame dressing or Asian dressing, please put whatever you'd like on here. But the mixture combination of those flavors in there with the cashews and the mandarin oranges will have you wanting this salad every week. Now I'm going to be making my lentil soup. So we have 2 cups of chopped carrots. We're just gonna drizzle a little olive oil on there and let that cook down a little bit. Once the carrots are tender, I'm going to be adding in 4 cups of zucchini and 2 cups of yellow squash. I'm going to be adding a half of a diced white onion, 1 26 or 28 ounce can of diced tomatoes with the juice, 1 tablespoon of garlic. You can add more or less. I'm using the remaining chicken stock I have, which is about 2 cups. If you want to use the whole container, you can, but I did use some for another recipe. So this ended up being about 2 cups worth. And then we're going to follow this up with 8 cups of water. Now I'm going to be adding about a teaspoon and a half of thyme. This actually could have used a little bit more. I would even dare say use a tablespoon because thyme gives those vegetables a really good flavor. So I'm going to use about the same amount of cumin. So I simmered this covered on low for about an hour and a half. And then I came back in with 2 cups of lentils. These are just regular lentils. And I just gave those a stir and then I let it cook for another 30 to 45 minutes. And they were done, but I don't like mine undercooked. So I think I cooked them probably about an hour and 20 minutes after the lentils were done. And here is how beautiful this lentil stew turned out, soup, whatever you want to call it. It is delicious and jam-packed full of hearty goodness, so make sure you're utilizing the farmers markets or vegetables in your own garden and making this soup. It is really good with fresh rolls or a nice toasty baguette to soak up all of that juice. So now we are going to be making my favorite Western beef topped potatoes. So here we have large russet potatoes. I have 4 of them, but if you need something a little smaller, then go ahead and grab that instead of the big ones. We have 1 pound of ground turkey, and we're going to be browning that up in just a few minutes. And then we have 1 can of Mexican style corn. This is the corn with the bell peppers in it already. And then we're going to be using 1 cup of thick and chunky salsa. So we have our turkey, it is all browned and lovely. Now we're going to be adding that can of corn in. And instead of dirtying a measuring cup, I just eyeballed it in this can. Like, why make your life harder, right? So we're going to use that in the can. If you get a little more, it's okay. So let's go ahead and dump that in here, stir it up really well, and then let it simmer for just a few minutes until everything has warmed through. So now I'm going to open up all of these potatoes. For the sake of time, I only grabbed 2 of them to show you guys how I do it. Could have just done 1, but I was trying to make my mom and Michaela's plate first, which is how we do it. So I open the potatoes and then I make sure to just kind of go in with a twisty motion with the fork to break up all of the potato, because you're gonna want this beef topping mixture to kind of go around the potato and not just plop on top of it. So you want to loosen that up as much as possible. Salt and pepper, and then you're going to go in with butter. If you don't like butter, you don't have to use it. If you prefer sour cream, go ahead for that. And then I just kind of break that up, and then we're going in with that beef mixture. So put as much or as little as you would like in there. I'm going to be adding some cheese to the top of it, but if you want to add cheese, sour cream, jalapenos, whatever you would like to add as your toppings, you could even crumble bacon if you wanted to. And these are completely customizable to your taste preferences. That is it. Dinner is done for the night. This is so filling and so hearty. So good for the fall or just any time of year. That is it for this week's meals. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if there's any recipes you would like to see me try and share on this channel. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.